Welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network, coming to you from the TeacherCast studios since 2011. Join us each week as we bring you the latest educational news, EdTech updates, and hottest interviews with today's most influential leaders in education. And now, for your host, Jeff Bradbury.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury, and welcome to the Jeff Bradbury Show. This is episode 2. Thank you guys for making TeacherCast your home for professional development. Today, we're going to be talking all about the 5 rules of personal and professional branding. That's right. We're going to go over 5 things that you should be thinking about when creating your EDU brand. And I'm going to give you some stories about how we've done it here on TeacherCast. And I'm also going to share a few of the hurdles that I've hit over the last couple years. Stick around. We've got a fantastic show for you guys. I want to say congratulations to the over 35 people that have already taken their time and signed up for our TeacherCast 90-day email marketing challenge. These 35 people have gone over to buildyouredubrand.com, signed up for our free challenge. What we are working on right now is a 90-day challenge to help you grow, create, build, and email marketing. Starts off with a 2-week online course. I send you a bunch of information about emails and websites and SEO, basically give you all the tools that I've been using and building up over the last almost 9 years of doing TeacherCast. And then we take the next few months and we build your EDU brand. We build that email marketing list. I sit there and we have these conversations. We've also been having some great one-on-ones. I've had a lot of people reach out. If you're looking to grow your email list or even start an email list, head on over to Build Your EDU Brand today at buildyouredubrand.com. Check us out over on our TeacherCast 90-day email marketing challenge. Let's get your platform built today. And again, welcome to the Jeff Bradbury Show. This is episode number 2. I am so excited and so thrilled at the responses that I've gotten from our first 2 episodes. And I have a ton of conversations to be sharing with you guys. You see, this podcast here is actually going to be put together in 3 different spots. And I've been recording shows for this podcast for the last week straight. Almost every single night I've had some great guests, and I'm looking forward to putting it all together and sharing it with you. On Wednesdays, we're going to be coming out with our weekly episodes, just like this one, where we're going to talk about how you can build your EDU brand. In addition to that, I've got some great guests coming on, and we're going to be doing a series called 5 Ways to Build Your EDU Brand through LinkedIn, through email marketing, through podcasting, through audio, through schoolwork, through your students. Anything like that is what we're putting together. And our third part of content that we're going to be putting together is called How Did You Grow Your EDU Brand? I had a fantastic conversation over the weekend with EduMatch CEO and founder Sarah Thomas. She talks about everything under the sun, about how she grew her EDU brand and how you guys can grow yours as well. So make sure that you smash that subscribe button wherever you find your podcast and head on over to buildyouredubrand.com and make sure that you tell your friends. If you're a blogger, a speaker, a podcaster, a writer, this is that show for you. And today we're going to be talking all about the 5 rules of personal and professional branding. Get ready, get your seatbelts on. Here we go. Now, I got to tell you, the first thing about being a professional and keeping that personal brand is to be completely hyper-focused on what you're doing. Set some goals, write things down. We talk in our email marketing course all about creating that avatar and knowing who you're going to be talking to as you hit that record button. Write that out there. I got to tell you, in my office, or as I call it, the TeacherCast studios, I have a picture on the wall, and I named that picture. I'm not going to tell you yet what I named my picture. It's kind of silly, but I know exactly who I'm talking to. And depending on what podcast I do, depending on what type of content I put out, I'm hyper-focused on who my target audience is and what they need. For example, on the Ask the Tech Coach show, my target tech coach isn't all tech coaches. There's way too much variety in that. But my target audience for the Ask the Tech Coach show is a tech coach who's in a school district, maybe has multiple buildings, maybe coaches in multiple levels, and maybe is looking for a little bit of help. Maybe they have multiple principals or multiple supervisors, and they're trying to figure out where to go and how to just survive. That's my target audience for Ask the Tech Coach. Now, if other tech coaches like it and check it out, I welcome that too. But when I do the Ask the Tech Coach show, I am hyper focused on helping out that tech coach that might be feeling helpless. Same thing when I do an educational podcasting show. I'm not speaking to all podcasters. I'm speaking to educators who are creating a podcast in their home studio or looking to bring audio and video into their classrooms. And we offer a wide variety of stuff like that over on educationalpodcasting.com. And for this show, my target audience is you, that educator that wants to get out there, build their brand, build a platform, build an email list, get some speaking gigs, grow a blog, write a book, anything that says, help me build this brand. I am hyper focused on helping you. That's why I reach out to you guys every single Wednesday. And I say, if you have any questions, please reach out to me on the TeacherCast Educational Network. Head on over to Build Your EDU Brand and don't forget to subscribe to things. The other thing about this show is we always say when we want to build our personal and professional brand, you need to be authentic. You need to put yourself out there. Now, I got to tell you, this is something that's probably on this list extremely difficult for me. You see, I was the guy that created the TeacherCast podcast in the summer of 2011. And it wasn't until I got to my first ISTE in 2012 when I started to hear something strange. I heard somebody come up to me, gave me a big hug. I never will forget this story, but they said, "Oh my goodness, I heard your voice. I listened to your show, but I got to tell you, I don't know who you are. What's your name?" And I thought about that and I said, "Why are you asking what my name is?" And she says, "I listen to your show constantly." But you know what? You never introduce yourself. You never say what your name is. So I love your content. I love what you're doing. But my goodness, who are you? And that really got me. I don't know if you've ever had a situation like that where you don't realize what you're doing wrong, I will say. But I actually did about 20 to 35 episodes where I never went and actually said my name. And I think that's one of the reasons why right now when you come onto the show, I start with, "Welcome to TeacherCast. My name is Jeff. Thank you for joining us today." And if you listen to the intro of this show, that's why it's very important that when I did the intros, it said, "Welcome to TeacherCast, Jeff from." I'm trying to brand myself and I'm trying to be authentic for you, for my audience. That's why we come on and we talk about everything happening in the middle school where I work, or we talk about the kids or the family or what's happening on the podcast. Our job as content creators is to be authentic. Our audience listens to us, not to our content. And it's important that we have those relationships. You know, we see this all the time on message boards. People say, "How do I build an audience?" And people reach out and they say, "Don't build an audience. Talk to one person. Know who that is." It goes back to that first one of being hyper-focused. But know who that person is. Have a conversation with that one person. Build this how it is. And I'll say it again. That's why when I started the Jeff Bradbury Show, we went back and our first episode was, what is a brand? How does it work? I didn't just run into saying, we're going to do email marketing as our first episode. I'm taking the time introducing myself to you. I want you to get to know a little bit about me. I want to get to know a little bit about you. I want to build your trust. I want to build your friendship, and I want to know how I can help you build your EDU brand. Being authentic is so important, and yet probably one of the most difficult things that we can do, especially as a podcaster. We have a wall in front of us. We have a monitor in front of us. We have a microphone in front of us. We have a screen. Being authentic is one of the most powerful things I think any content creator can do. You ask any blogger and they say, go find your voice. You ask any podcaster and they say, go find your voice. And I'm going to just stop right here and say, guys, I am having such a good time doing this show because I really do feel for the first time in almost 9 years that this is my voice, not Jeff the ed tech guy or the Google trainer or the tech coach. I really feel this has been the first time I've actually been able to open up a podcast and speak about what my experiences are, so that way I can provide some help to you building your brand. The third thing that we want to look at when we're talking about rules and professional development and branding and stuff like that is have your story. Know what that story is. Be able to tell your story. Everybody who's listened to TeacherCast over the last 6.5 years has probably heard some version of my story. Started as a musician, got into technology. We had triplets. They're now 6 years old. My wife just celebrated 2 years of being cancer-free. And all of this stuff has helped me grow into the educator I have become, the husband I've become, the father I've become, the tech coach I've become, anything. Have that story and be able to talk about that story in and out of these different conversations. I love what TeacherCast has been able to do for so many through these stories, and I'm so happy that you guys are on that journey for me. With me, I should say. The fourth thing here that I always think about when it comes to branding is being consistent. And that means so many different things. Consistent with your message, consistent with your website, consistent with your graphics, consistent with your podcast, with your writing, with your artwork, with your presentations. You know, we talk a lot about this over on the Tech Coach brand, but when you give a presentation, your slides should look the same. If I come to 3 different presentations of yours at a conference, it's not a bad idea to make one branded slide deck that might go with your website, that might go with your bumper graphics. Being consistent in the way that your content looks is really exciting and really important. That's why podcasts have logos. That's why blogs have titles. That's why books have covers. That's why triplets, never mind. We'll go into that a little bit later. But be consistent and be on message, right? And that's extremely, extremely important, all right? And I have a struggle with that too. How do you be consistent when one day you're doing a podcast about podcasts, one day you're doing a podcast about Tech Coach, and another day you're trying to help people grow their email list? I struggle with these things too, about being consistent. And my only answer is I love doing all these things. Like my story comes from my grandfather. He was a jack of all trades. He was a carpenter and a woodworker and a mason and he worked in the prison and he was an Eagle Scout and all of these great things. And I just kind of took that and brought it into the digital world. I don't know if this makes any sense to you guys, but be consistent with everything that you're doing. And all out, number 5, ways to build your brand. You need to live your brand. You need to be that person. If your message is getting rid of homework, then you should be that person to get rid of homework. If your deal is to be the podcaster, then go be the podcaster. If your deal is to be the greatest administrator, then go be the greatest administrator. But to live your brand. When somebody says, I want to know all about live streaming, who do you think of? You might have somebody in mind. When somebody wants to think about getting rid of the paper in their classrooms, who do you think about? When somebody wants to talk about ways to use Google Classroom, who do you think about? Who is living their brand? What kind of things can we learn from those people? So those are just some of the things that we can be thinking about when we have our personal and professional branding. Being hyper-focused, being authentic, having a story and knowing how to tell it. Being consistent with ourselves, with our message, with our communication, having that consistent brand across all of our channels, and also just being there to live your brand, being truthful to yourself and being truthful to your audience. Those are just 5 of the things, but I got to tell you, there's a lot more than that. And we're probably going to end up talking about this on multiple podcasts coming down the road, because I think it's one of the most important topics for any marketer, for any brand, for any podcaster, writer, author, speaker, anybody. It's where we start. And I think if we take a second today check this podcast out one more time. Kind of go through that list. Visit the 90-day challenge on Build Your EDU brand. You're going to pick up something that's going to help you out. And if you do, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what that is. I would love to help you guys check things out and have you guys be a part of our journey here on the Jeff Bradbury Show, just as much as I want to be a part of your journey on your platforms. So that wraps up episode number 2. There's, of course, a lot of great things. I'm going to be heading out this week to Ed Camp Hat to talk all about humanities and technology. I'm also going to be flying down to Miami next week. I've got a podcasting session at FETC, and I'm looking forward to checking out all the great things that are happening down there, all the companies and all of the amazing educators. Looking forward to connecting with some friends from far and wide. I hope you guys are having a great time on your platforms and in your school. I'm looking forward to the next semester coming up, and I hope you guys have a chance to check out this and all the stuff. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and coming soon on Spotify. I would love to have you guys be a part of our Jeff Bradbury Show family. Don't forget to head on over to buildyouredubrand.com and check out that 90-day challenge. Join the 35 people and help us get to 100 people building their email marketing. And that wraps up today. On behalf of everybody here in the TeacherCast Educational Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you to keep up the great work on your platforms and continue sharing your passions with your students.
You've been listening to the TeacherCast Educational Network, hosted by Jeff Bradbury. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter @TeacherCast or online at www.teachercast.net. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.